back to Comic Beyond. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Iron Man versus Doctor Doom. At least that's what the title of my trade. The comics we're actually talking about is doomquest. It's a two-part story arc that took place in the Iron Man comics, but it's where Iron Man and Doctor Doom actually get sent back to Camelot. So, fitting in with our medieval theme, this will be wrapping it up. This is probably one of my favorite Iron Man stories, and the fact that it involves Doctor Doom, one of my favorite Marvel villains. Uh, Putting those two together to me, and after reading them together, Doctor Doom should have been an Iron Man villain. But we're gonna hop into it. First, I want to say this episode was supposed to come out last week, but we kind of got hit by a hurricane here in Florida, so that postponed it. But here we are today, talking about doomquest. So the story starts off, the shipping container ship, it gets attacked by pirates, and so Iron Man has to come in, save the day pretty much from the pirates, and then they end up taking all the stuff, turning the ship around and putting it at the docks, and then we end up in Latveria, and one of Doom's scientists is supposed to be working on a time portal, because Doom is trying to get back to a certain time, trying to get back to Camelot. But his engineer, his scientist tells him, he's like, yeah, we're pretty much done with your machine, but we can't fully complete it because we ain't got the parts. And this part kind of made me laugh, but Doom's like, what are you talking about? We don't have the parts. I paid for those. And so the guy's like, well, they never arrived because they got imported, because of the pirates. And so he's like, well, that's just not going to work. So Iron Man had a hunch that the cargo was going to get stolen. So he ends up staking out the docks. And of course, so Doom sends this crazy vehicle with tentacle arms and stuff like that. And he fights off Iron Man with it, gets his parts, goes back to Latveria. So, as Tony Stark, because at this point in time in the 80s, everybody thought Iron Man was Tony Stark's bodyguard. They didn't know Tony Stark was Iron Man. And so as Tony Stark, he ends up going to Latveria because he, obviously he knows Doom's behind the whole taking the parts thing. So he goes there and ends up sneaking into Doom's castle. And becomes Iron Man, puts his suit on, and so he confronts Doom. And while they're fighting back and forth in the Doom's engineering room or laboratory, let's call it a laboratory, so his chief engineer thinks he's going to get free of Doom's clutches because he's going to trap him in the time portal. And but he don't only trap Doom, he traps Iron Man. So they both get trapped in this time portal, and he sends them back to Camelot, and he's like, I finally got from underneath Doom, and blah, 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 blah. So he leaves, but and destroys the machine so they can't get back. Or at least he thinks so. And so they end up in Camelot. Immediately get picked up by King Arthur's knights, get brought before King Arthur, and he's like, okay, so you guys are in armor, obviously you're some kind of knight. Who are you with, and this and that, and Doom's like, I'm with nobody, nobody leads Doom, because I'm Doom. And so, Iron Man's like, well, I, represent such and such, and I'm here to bring this guy in, because he's nuts, talking about Doom. So Arthur's like, you know what, I have no idea what's going on. Y'all are dressed kind of weird for us, except for maybe the one with the green cape. And so he's like, look, y'all stay tonight. I'm going to think about this. And we'll talk about it in the morning. So while they're away, they each have their own room in the castle. Tony's like, I need to get out. I need to find out what Doom's up to. And as he's going to leave, this beautiful girl walks in. She's like, I just came to check and see if you needed anything, And so obviously Tony's like, okay, well, I guess I'm staying. So he doesn't leave his room. Obviously it's Tony Stark. So the same thing happens to Doom. Girl comes to his room asking if he needs anything, and he's like, yeah, actually I do. And he like um brainwashes her or mind melds with her, and he's asking her, where can I find Morgana? Um, King Arthur's sister, who's also an evil sorceress. And if you remember in the last episode with Batman Dark Knight of the Round Table, that's also who he had to go against was Morgana. So she gives him directions to where she's at. Apparently he had a jetpack this whole time on his suit because he hops these rockets out. He flies off to go meet up with her. And so he gets there and he's like impressed by her castle because it reminds him a lot of Doom's place. And she's there and she's like, well, what are you doing here? Who are you? Because I guess Merlin trapped her in her castle, so she can't technically leave. And it's almost like the plot from Torment, the Doctor Doom Strange crossover story, where he wants Strange to help him free his mother. That's literally the same plot of this, except it doesn't happen. And he wants Morgana to use her sorcery to help free his mother. And then obviously he's like, well, it's going to come with a price because you're more than willing to help me do it. And so she's like, I want you to lead my army against my brother. And he's like, well, I got here and your castle was defenseless, so I don't think you have an army. So she tells him that she got in a battle with Arthur before she got in prison and actually damaged Excalibur. So she has a chipped piece of the blade of Excalibur. So she uses her sorcery, and anybody that was taken out by that sword who was slain by it, she resurrects them. So she has like deadites from Army of Darkness. They're just like these skeleton soldiers, skeleton knights. And she's like, lead this this undead army against my brother, take him out so I can be free. So Doom's like, yeah, right on, I can do that. And in the meantime, King Arthur's talking to Iron Man. He's like, look, I don't know what's going on. This girl's spouting nonsense because she's still brainwashed by Doctor Doom. And she keeps saying Morgana and this and that. So I'm thinking your boy Doom went to my sister, and that's not good. So Iron Man's like, it's okay, I'll fight by your side, and we'll take out this undead army that's on the way. So they're fighting, and Doom's leading the charge. And so Iron Man's fighting with Doom, and he realizes, you know what, this dude outmatches me every time we fight. It's not going so well for Iron Man. So he ends up thinking, he's like, well, I need to go where Doom went. I need to find out what he did with the sorceress. So he leaves the fight, and Doom's like, oh, coward, blah, 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 blah. So Iron Man goes and finds Morgana, and he's outwitting her magic. He's using technology against magic, and actually kind of freaks her out because he's like, or she's like, I don't know what sorcery you're using, but it's whatever it's doing, it's defeating mine. So she's out. Somehow she managed to escape. And so Doom ends up going back to her castle, and he's like, hey, what'd you do with the sorceress? And he's like, I didn't do nothing. She like teleported out of here, and she didn't even answer my questions. So Doom's like, well, I've failed. And Iron Man's like, because the undead army basically died when she left. And so Iron Man's like, what are you talking about? You failed. And he's like, So he's preparing the fight, and Doom's like, no, I need to go back home. And Iron Man's like, I don't think you understand. We're trapped here. And Doom's like, we're not trapped, but unfortunately we are going to have to work together because between your armor and my armor, the technology in it has what we need to build a device to get back. And so Iron Man's like, alright, fine, but we're making a truce. Like, you can't touch me while we're working, and then once we get back to our time, we're not fighting when we get back. So, Doom's like, yeah, I think I can uphold that. So that's what they do. They end up working together, build a time device. They get back to their time. And literally in the last panel, Doom's like, we're gonna end up meeting again, right? So Iron Man's like, yeah, but remember our truce right now. So Doom's like, yeah, no, that's fair. I'm back. You're this. I failed. And that's where the story ends. So, because this was only a 2-issue arc. So the story ends there. They basically get back after their little adventure. And so there is like a sequel book to this. It's like one issue. It's like a one shot, like a annual Iron Man's book. So I'll do that down the road. I think they go into the future, like future Camelot. So that would be interesting. But I really enjoyed reading this. It was fun. Some of the quirky stuff I laughed at. So it was really entertaining. I did a lot of reading during the storm because we lost power. And this is one of the books I reread and got a lot of enjoyment out of it. So that being said, this wraps up our like medieval themed book reading. Now that we're in October, I'm gonna try to pull out the spooky like horror Halloween type comics, and we'll start that theme. And then from there, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you can find the back issues or find a trade like I have. This is actually an old trade. It's from, I'm trying to see when this one was published, 1994. So this is an older trade, but I'm sure they got newer ones that have the doomquest story in it. But I enjoyed this trade. That being said, I hope you can find this, check it out for yourself, and enjoy it. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.